Hello everyone, you're welcome to Netcode-Hub channel. This channel, we talk about creating a .NET applications that is for web app and mobile apps. You can check our channel playlist and you're going to have a lot of videos in it. By today, I am going to talk about using Blazor DataGrid in .NET 8.0. When you have the version of 7 and below, I am not sure you can have access to what I'm about to teach. That is using the Blazor DataGrid. I don't know yet, but what I want to teach here, you must have .NET 8.0 installed. As you can see from the screen, this is Visual Studio 2022. So that is the PV version of 8.02 as the framework. So we are going to create our API. And we are going to also install this DataGrid package. That's the Nuget package as well. I could have used the weather service in the project, but here we want to also create database. So in the course of database creation, you can actually get something too. So using one stone to kill two birds. You're going to learn how to connect to database, perform a migration, and also how to use this new component that is the Blazor DataGrid in .NET 8.0. So let's get going. First of all, what you have to do here is we have to create our project. And it's going to be, let's say it's a Blazor WebAssembly. So I'm going to click on new project. Then I'm going to choose Blazor WebAssembly. So I'm going to name it as Blazor WebAssembly dot. So that is a DataGrid. Now this is the location I am storing, but I can change the location here to new place. So I can create a folder here, or I can put it in the same place. So I have one over here. So you have to choose a location. So let's say I have my location selected, and that is a C folder, a folder known as what? Working project. This is my solution name. Now click on next. Now here you can see I have 6.0. So I'm going to choose 8.0 preview. Now when you use 6.0, 7.0, no. So use the 8.0 preview. And I'm going to check ASP.NET Core hosted, because it's going to give us a 3 projects plus library. We're going to have our API and also the Blazor WebAssembly. Click on create, and now this is going to be created. So you wait for a while for this project to get created. So it is now ready. And as I said earlier on, we have the following projects over here: client, we have the server, and we have the shared. Okay, so what you have to do here first is let's create our models. So you want to use any model at all. So you're going to let's create a folder here, and it's going to be models. So these models you want to create by customer. So let's create a class. And now this class is going to be customer. So with this customer, let's set this to public. And also, let's set this. So this is going to be integer, and that is an ID. Let's have few properties. So I'm going to have name. So maybe with this name, I can have first name. Then I can grab this, paste this, and this is going to be last name. I can also add address. Okay, or this could be location. Okay, So we have this for properties over here. We can now save this. So what you have to do here next is we have to install our packages. So let's go to the server and I install a Nuget package over here. So I click on the properties, now that's the dependencies, and I click on manage Nuget packages, and I have to install the package over. So let's install browse, dismiss this, and I'm going to pass in entity. So make sure you have this include pre-release, so you can have the preview version. So you can see 8.0. Now install this. When this is done, we're going to install SQL Server 2. And that is this one over here. So we have to also install this. So let's wait for this to finish. So accept it. Yeah. Okay, so SQL Server 2 install that. So let's wait while this also installing. I'm going to go to the output. You can see it is installing over here. So as this is also installing, now when we are done, we need to also install tools, and that will be for our database. So the tools is also available after the SQL Server. So we have to also install this package after this has completed. Okay, so accept it. Then we are good to go. So the next one, let's install the tools as well. So click on install. Now you make sure here, now you see they are all with 8.0 preview. Make sure you select include pre-release, and that's going to help you get those. Okay, so now we are done. Now let's go to the same packages and let's try to build this project. So build this solution, because it has to install some packages from, that's the default one, it has to update it. So let's build it and see to correct those errors before we continue. Alright, so you can see it has built it. Now it's built, so let's go to the client, and now we have to also install our package. So click on dependencies, and as you can see, we have manage Nuget packages. Click on that. Now with the update, we have no update here. So you go to browse, and now here you're going to install QuickGrid. So that is a QuickGrid. You make sure you have this also installed, checked pre-releases, and that is what I'm talking about by Microsoft. So 83K downloads. So click on this and install that to the client section. So accept it. Yeah, and that is also saved. Now you can go in there and build the whole solution again to see if you have any update to make. If not, then we can now move on with our application and database migration and configuration as well. So let's wait and see the final building to see if everything is working as expected. Okay. So you can see no error found, 1 up to date, and 2 succeeded. So we can now close this peacefully, and we can also close this as well. We have a model here. We can also close this overview because we don't need them. Yes. Now let's work on our server first. So this is our server, and let's create a folder, and now let's name it as data. That's going to handle all our data. So let's create our AppDB context class, which is a database connection class. So add a class, and now this class could be any name at all. So this AppDB context. So this context class has to inherit from DB context, and it is a class found in the EF core that we have installed. So control period, let's include Microsoft.entity framework core. Now you can now create a constructor with this and pass in this class. So create this, and now you can grab this, and now in here we want to pass in this class, and which is inheriting from the base class, that's the DB context class. Okay, so now once you are done, you can now go for DB sets, and this set is for customer model. So this customer model, and now we say we give it a name as customers. So let's say I have a name here, customers. And you know what, you can also set this to default as well. Okay, so now we have this. Let's go to application or that's an app settings.json. Now let's specify a database connection. So we pass in connection strings. So connection strings. So this connection string, we give it a name DB connection. And now we say server, which is equal to our local host. Then we can have database is equal to, let's say this is QuickGrid DB. Okay. Then we have trusted. So trusted underscore connection. Let's set this to true, and trust server, let's add certificate. So certificate over here, let's also set this to true. Okay, so we have a server, we have a database, and we have a trust or trusted connection set to true. Trust server certificate also is set to true. Okay, so you can grab this context. That is the name of the DB connection. You can just copy this. Let's save this. Let's go to the app DB, or let's go to program.cs file. Now in here where we have this app, you can pass in builder.services.addb context. So we need to pass in our app DB context class. So we have app DB context class. And now here we need to pass in these options. So we have to specify the type. So we say this options dot use SQL. Now here let's grab builder.configuration. So dot get connection string. And now here, that is what we are grabbing the name over here from this app setting.json. Okay, so we have this. Now let's perform database migration. So we set this as a startup project. Right click and go to set as a startup project, because you can see it is what? Bolded. So that is startup one. Let's go to package manager console. If you're not finding this, click on tools and now click on Nuget package manager and now go to the console. So in here, you can clear screen, and now you say add dash migration, and you can say create table. So dash O means output. There's a folder called data. Open it, create under folders migrations, and do all your stuffs in it. So let's say this is going to build a project, and now after building, it's going to create a file, and the name of the file is going to be create database or create table. Okay. And it's going to create table, customer table, by using the customer model that we specified, and also the columns or the attributes in the customer table here, customer model here as a column in a database. So let's wait. So it is saying unable to create a DB context of a type, the extension unable to resolve for the service type DB context option. So let's find out and see where this data.appdb context was from. We attempt to create an instance. So let's see. Let's go back and check. we have our DB connection. We have our server's local database name, trusted connection, plus server certificate to true. Okay, let's go to AppDB context. So this is what you have. It is inheriting from this DB context class, and you pass in this AppDB context, inheriting from this base option. Then we create this DB set customer as customers. We set this to default. Then let's say we go to our program. Then we specify add DB context. So we pass in these options, use SQL Server, build out the configuration, get connection screen to DB connection. Okay, now let's say, so unable to create DB context. Now let's build the application and see. So build this. Let's do cleanup. All right, now let's build it again. So build solution. Okay, so built now. Now let's try again and see. So add migration create table -o in this folder. And let's try this again and see. So it's in progress. So let's see the output. Okay, so done now. Debug. Built. Okay. Now let's see if it is still in progress. I knew. Whoa, you've seen why we are having this error. So we see from here that we are building the application, but we are calling our connection at the back of when the application is built. So that is where we have this error. So let's cut this. And now let's move this in. Let's save this. Let's build the application. So let's build solution. And now let's do it again and see what's going to happen. So package manager console. Now in this, let's apply name as create table. So base as it. Wow, that is done now. So let's see. So update database. So this is going to run an ef call command to get a database created with these following columns and the database name as customers. Okay, so that is it. Now we are done. So when you open our SQL server, let me open the SQL server and see. So when you open our SQL server, you're going to have it in there. Also, we can also go to tools. No, I think it's around here. When we click on views, then SQL server objects. So in here, we can refresh this. So SQL server, and let's see if we have this. Is a project model. So let's open this and see. You're not having it over here. Okay. So you can go to new connection. So let's new connection, and that's going to be the local. So we're going to choose this local and let's connect. So we have this. Let's open this database, and I can see we have our quick DataGrid here. So this is our database that we have. And now when open this table, you can see we have two tables here. Now we have only one table, that's the customers table. So let's wait while it is refreshing. Then we can check that over there. So once we have this, next thing to do here is we have to create our controller. So it is still refreshing. So let's wait. Now you have to create our controller. So let's go to server. Okay, so you can see we have our customer table here. So maybe this time round, we can right click and click on view data. So let's open this and try to pass in. Let's me some data here. So first name is, so we have John Doe, and let's location is, we have US. Now let's say we have Fred, Hughes, Ghana. Let's say we have Thomas, they're filling any data. So New York. Now let's say this is, and okay, now we have this. Let's pass in a lot of data here. So I'm going to go offline and fill this data, and after that I'll come back to see a lot of data inside this database table. So we can use that in our DataGrid. Okay. All right, so you can see I have a lot of data here. I've created a lot over here, as you can see, in the table in a database. So let's go quick and create our controller to get all this data from the database. So our controller here, right click and I click on add new controller. And this controller is going to be an API. So empty one. So API empty, click on add. And at the name of this, we're going to make it as customer. So customer controller. So click on add and get that added. So let's create controller. That's a constructor here. And this constructor, we are going to pass in the AppDB context class that we have created. Let's wait while it is loading our suggestions so we can create constructor out of this. Now let's pass in our AppDB context class. We create an object out of this. Let's initialize it. So create an assigned field. Okay, so the next thing to do here is let's create our HTTP GET. And now this, we say public async, and this is task. And it is coming out with action results. And here we are grabbing a list of customer. A list of customer, and then we can say get. So we use fat arrow and we say await appdb contest dot customers dot toList async. So you can use toList async. So that is our controller. So this is our controller here. Now let's go to application and I'll try to get this data. So we go to our pages, that is the client section. Now where we have the counter, let's use the index. So with this index, that is what we are doing. Let's call the DataGrid service that we have created. But before that, let's have this code. And now we are going to say override. You want to call this on after or on initialize async. So before that, let's create a list of customers. So a list of customer is a customers. So then we assign it to new. So equal to new. So control period, we can now inject this using the shared models. So once you have this is what we can do. We can say customers is equal to await. So let's clear one. And now let's inject HTTP client. So HTTP client. Then we say HTTP client. So let's grab this. So await HTTP client dot get async. Now you're going to get API/customer. That's a controller name. So that is all that we need. So customer, so you have to, so var results is equal to, then await HTTP client dot get async. So we can say create a response out of this. Then we say it's equal to await this result dot it has content in dot read from async, because when you read as an object, so you're going to pass in a list of customer model. Then we close it. So at the end, we say customers. This customers is equal to this response. So assign the content to this customer. We save this, and that is it. Now in here, let's use our model, that a component that we created or we installed, and that is the Nuget. That's a QuickGrid. Okay, so in order to do that, we have to use it here as QuickGrid. So do you have it here? Yeah, that is it. So QuickGrid. But you can scrap all this off, and now we can say that as using Microsoft.ASP.NET Core.component. So Microsoft, and now here let's cut the QuickGrid. So dot QuickGrid. So you can take off this. All right, so this is all you want to do. Let's take this off too. Okay. So let's say Control KD, save that, and you have to close this. Okay, so I believe this is what we have to do. And you see we are using Microsoft.ASP.NET Core. Then we are passing in the QuickGrid. Now let's save this, Control KD. Let's save this. Let's close this and open it again. Okay, so you can see errors gone. Well, they are still here. Now let's see. So okay, so let's see. Okay, so we use that. Now what you have to do here is we have to pass in an item source. So with this item source, how are you going to do it? Now we have to set the item attribute to iCreable. So let's see how to go about that. Now we can do that in here. So we say item. As you can see we have items over here. So items is equal to, now what is the name? So we have customers dot, then use as queryable. Let's say if, so customers dot as queryable. So as you can see we have it over here as queryable. So this is what you want to use. Okay, so let's save this only. So when we save this and I run this, let's see what happens. Now this is going to navigate us to the home page. So with the home page, that's the index. We have these components rendered, and we are providing the items to this customer model. So this customer object here contains a list of customers from an API, and this is the API, customer API. So let's run and see the output of this. The reason why we see a blank here whilst you have this component rendered is we have to specify the various columns. In a database, we have 4 columns: ID, first name, last name, and location. We have to specify that in the component, that is the DataGrid component. So let's go to the app, and in here, we have to specify this component, this properties here. So what you have to do here is you have to specify the property as property column. So property column, then this property column, that is what we can do. So in here, we can specify property as. Now, what do you want to display here? So this we can say is a customer. So customer match to C dot. Now I want to display the ID. Okay, so let's copy this and paste it 3 times so we can have the other data. Last one, so we have ID. Now this is going to give us, so we're going to have first name, we're going to have last name, and I'm going to have the last one here. It is location. Now let's save this and let's check the output here. So let's refresh and see if it doesn't work, then we have to, let's see if hot reload is enabled. Okay, so it is not. Now let's run this again and see if it's going to reload this page for us. So we're going to see the column specified here as the various columns that we specified. So you can see we have ID, we have name, last name, and location. So that you see we have a lot of data here. Now you can decide to clear all this from the content as well. So that is what, when you go to your index, you can see we have them on top here. So we can clear this. Okay. We can clear this, and maybe we can set this as customer list. So you can say customer list. Very simple. Okay. Now the next thing to do here is, so if you refresh this, I think this has to get out, and this has to also move, and I have to get customer list when you run it again. Okay. Now we have this list, so all the time, rebuild and apply changes. Let's go back. Okay, so the next thing that we can do again here is, actually, you know, when you go for the documentation, you can have a lot of information over there. Here, I'm just brushing through to give you some basics one that you can use in your project or your application. If you want to get a whole thing, they can go to maybe a GitHub for that QuickGrid sample, then you can get a whole document. Maybe I'll try to leave the documentation link below, so you can just click on it and you can get a full details of this component that we are talking about. You can also set title. So here, let's see. Now this is building, and as you can see, not responding, but I'm not sure what actually is the cause. So let's see. Oh, all right. So it is working. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Now let's specify the title. So when you check here, you could see that first name must be separated. Last must also be separated from the name. You shouldn't hide them. You can also specify this customer ID, first name, last name, etc. So let's do that. Now in here, when you go to this page, you can do that on the same line. So as you can see, we have title, and this is customer ID. We can also specify the same title here. Let's say this is first name, and let's see, title, last name. Now the next one, location is location, so we don't have to format it. So location is just location. Okay, so when this loads, you can see we have it separated. Okay, so but you can just clear this customer ID to make it as only ID, because the customer make it long. You can just clear this out, and when you save this with the help of the hot reload, you see we have it set. Okay, aside from this, you can also change, in case we had a date, you can also change the date format as well. So you can see we have the format over here. In case it were to be date, you see we have this format, and you can now specify, if it is a date, you can specify DDD to get the number of days, and also you can specify it MMM, so MMM, and also we can have it YYY. So this is going to give us the full day, full month, and full year name. We're going to have the name. That is when you have a date that you want to actually add to. Okay. Now the next thing is, let's change you can make it sortable also as well. So let's see. So does this work here? You can actually activate the sorting on each column. So sortable, you can set this to true. So if you want to sort all, then you can just grab this, we paste it here, and we paste it here too. And the other one location, we can also paste it here. Now you can see with the sorting, it's going to sort from ascending to descending and vice versa. So let's wait whilst the hot reload is doing the magic. Let's see. Wow. So you can see we have it sorted, and it is just single line, but you can see it is working perfectly for us. Okay. Now, once we change this, we can also customize the column and add elements like a tag, an input, or any other thing as well. So as you can see from here, we can do customization as well. Now, this customization, this can happen within this location. Let's say this location, you want to just have a sort or a set in it. So instead of this, you can just open this. You open this property column, and you can specify, let's say, column options. So this column options, you can now pass in an input, a span tag, and any number. So let's see, there's an input, and then the type here is just number. Okay. So now let's save this, and now let's see the output. So you can see we have it here. If I click on this, now I can't type in any text unless I pass in numbers. It could be text area, it could be anything as well. So you can see this working. Now you can also add it to this. So maybe in case you want to sort, you want to search, you can just pass in this over here. You can pass in these numbers as well. Okay. Now, aside from that, you can also add a template. Now, template allows you to customize the column, a new column, not the old columns. So new column, maybe you want to add a button like edit or delete. How can you do that? So let's see how to go about it. So the next line here, that is where you have the property column. So outside that is where you need to specify that. And here is going to be template. So template column, select template column, and that is this. Now this template column, we can use a button. Okay, so we can use this button over here. And now this button, we can have a class of, let's say, BT none. Okay, BT none. And now in here, you can have, let's say, span. And now in this span, you can have a class of OI dash. You can have it as trash. And you can say test danger. Now let's save this and see what we got here. So you can see we have all this. Okay. Now let's try to set this to BG none as well. Save that. And we can also add, I think, border. So BG none. Let's try that. I think we have an error here. So BG none, and that is a border 0. We save that. So stop it. And let's see. We're gonna have it back. Okay, that stops. Now let's run this again. Alright, so you can see we have it, and as you can see, we have the BG as well. Let's try to, we have BG, okay, you can say BG white. We save that. Now let's see. BG white. Let's wait. Is it okay? This, so we can save this hot reload is enabled, and let's see. So I want us to get this BG white. So here, let's run this again. Okay, so yeah, we have it here. So this is the old one. Let me close it before it confuses us. So you see we have it. Now we can delete any of this. So you see we have this and we have that. We can delete. So you see we have specified we are creating a customized what column, and we can now use a header name here as what delete or action. So as you can see, we have this column, and let's say if we can have title here as action. So we save this and stop this. And can we have this action here? It is stopped, right? So we have to reload this. So reload this. And you have to get an actions as a title. Let's close this. Yeah, so you can see we have actions here. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is pagination. Now, see, we have a lot of data here, about 44. We don't want to see all this data in the database. We want to see first 10 or first 5 and so on. So in order to do that, that is where you have to add the pagination. So first of all, what you have to do is let's go to application. We have to register this pagination. That's a pagination state. So we say pagination state. Then we say pagination, okay, equal to new, then pagination state. So here you can specify items per page. As you can see, you can set to 5. Items per page is equal to 5. Now we close it. So you want to show 5 items in a page. You can save this. Now once you are done with this, what you have to do again, we have to now go to the page, this side, so edit, now here, and we have to, down here, we have to specify the pagination context. So we say pagination, that's a paginator, and it says state is equal to, you can call this pagination that's we created. So this pagination, that's what I'm talking about. Okay. So that is it. Now once you have this, the last thing that we need to do here is come to the header. That is a component, and now set pagination to this pagination. So this pagination is an object that we have created out of the states, and the state is holding the item per page. So when it comes here, it means it's going to run the item per page as a queryable. So it's going to query the first 5 items displayed on the screen and query the separate or the next 5 items and so forth. Let's save this. Now edit this and let's see if you have. Let's refresh it. Now hot reload is not doing magic for now unless we reload it ourselves. So let's see the magic comes in. All right, so beautiful. So you can see we have it right here, 44 items as we saw earlier on. We have 5 items, and now this item contains what this button. As you can see from here, we can perform this set or so. We can add it to the rest as indicated on, and we have this pagination. So we can go to the last page, out of 9. Can come back and we can be using this. So now we are done with the pagination. We can also talk about the filtering. So let's say if we can filter this. Okay, now you can see we have a button here. We have an input whereby you can now pass in some data, but when you pass in data, it is not taking effect within this. So let's have a look on how to apply the filtration or the filter in this QuickGrid. You go to our Solution Explorer. Now our project over here, we did that in the index.razor. So with the index.razor, as you can see from this end, so what we need to do here is, as you can see from our index, that is where we have our QuickGrid. Now, when you come here in the code here, we want to, now you can see from here, we created or we set this customer as a list coming from our API, and we are using our appending as queryable to this item. So we can grab this or we can cut this from where it is because we want to filter this. Okay, so this customer here, it is a list of the data coming from the API. So we have all lists here, so we can customize or we can filter this list. So if you want to do that, then we need not to put it here. We have to cut it over here like this. So let's cut it. Now, after removing it from that end, this is what you want to do. So let's create iQueryable. So we pass in the iQueryable. And now here, what data are we talking about, or what data are you getting here? That's a customer. So we pass in customer as the model. And the next thing that we have to do is let's set as filtered customer. So this could be filtered customer. Okay. And we can open this. So when you open this, what is the next thing to do? Now, you know, this customer here must contain a list, right? So a list of customers here. So this is what we are talking about. Now, you see, we are having a list over here. And now this list contains these customers over here. So, you know, when we create this, it has an accessors, get and set. But you know, with this, we are not setting anything. So we can get the accessor, we can use the get accessor. So get, and we have this accessor. Now within this get, when we receive the customers, that is the response here, customers over here. When we receive it, what can we do? So this is what we can do over here. We're going to use the var result. Then you can set it to this customers. Now this customers, now we are referring to this. So let me move this up over here. So let's move it here for you to know. So that is a list of customers that we are getting. And on this list of customers, when the page initializes, we get the data from the API. We store it over here to this customer, and we assign the list to this customer. Since this is a list of customers, and here it is coming as a list of customers, then we can assign the output to this customer object. Good. So we can use dot as queryable. So we can use this as queryable over here. Now you see this result. So we are creating this, and now this is a get accessor from this end. So the next thing that we can do after getting this is to check for, let's check for if, let's check for now. So if this, we must have, that is a variable here to hold what the user is going to type, right? So let's have it as, let's say, string. And now this is, let's say, filtered text. So this filtered text, let's copy this. Then we can check if this string is, so we're going to use string dot is null or. So if string is not null, so that is not null, or should we use a white space or empty? Not null or white space or empty still works. Then let's specify this filter text. So this is a filter text. So what is it going to pass in? If it is not empty or null, then this is what you want to do. we want to say result is equal to, so we are assigning a new result. Now you see this here is a result coming from this list, but we are assigning a new result to this. Result is equal to result dot, so we can use where. So where you open this, and we can use customer over here. So C dot. Now which one should we look up for? Now you see we have result is equal to where result dot. Now can we have, let's see what we got here. So you see we have ID, last name, first name. Okay, so let's assume here we have the ID. So if you pass in ID, it's going to work. So result is equal to result dot where ID is equal to this filtered text. Okay, so this text here, it is a string. So let's convert this, because we can use to check for all the columns or all the fields in there. So let's say int.pass, then let's pass in this filtered text. So that is when you pass in a number, it's going to work with the ID. Okay, and we can set or where C dot, let's go for first name dot equal, or so we use dot equal because maybe we don't have to pass in also dot content, not concat, we want to get content. So dot content, and now filtered text. Okay, so filtered text, and with this filtered text you can skip. So let's say string comparison, but you can use this string comparison dot current culture ignore case. Okay, now we have this. We can also have or. So you want to look through or and see what's going to happen over here. So now we can actually copy this also. Then this will be the next line. So I'm going to put this here. And now I'm going to use or to. So as you can see, we have first name, content filtered. So this is going to be the last name. So dot last name dot content or. So here it is not more last name, but it is location. Dot content this filtered text. We are ignoring this case. Okay. So when we have this, then we have to close this. Then when we have the data here, what else can we do? Let's return result. So we return results here, a very simple thing that you're doing. Now you see this filtered customer, it is an iQueryable and it is returning a list. As you can see from here, it's making a query and returning to this result. So when you can grab this, and now where we cut this from, we're going to paste this over there as filtered customer. Okay. Now this filtered text, what do you have to do here? We have to assign it to this. So let's see. Now this is an input, so this could be text. Okay, now this is test, and now we are going to assign the bind. Then here we are saying this is going to be what, a filtered text. Now what kind of, or how do you want just call the event? So we're going to say at bind event. Then this event is on input. So as soon as you type in, it starts making a query. We can make a placeholder, and this placeholder could be that is location. So this is location. Okay, so here could be search location. Now let's save this. So we have only location here. Let's rebuild this and run this application and see what we're going to have now. So let's see if it is off now. No, because we have taken the number off, so it is refreshing. Okay, so let's see. Now set location. So if I pass in New York, we see we have a problem here. So let's go for inspect and see what the output is it. Now let's see. So it is saying the input string was not a correct format. The input string was not in the correct format. Okay, so let's try to figure that one out. So this string, let's go back. Okay, so now let's go in there and now let's try to clear this. Let's change from here to search. Also, let's take off this, the ID. Let's save this. Now let's run it again and see. Okay, so I'll pass in here. We can set location. I can see Ghana, we have it over here. Now let's see, we have one New York, and you're gonna have, let's see, yeah, we have Nigeria too. Now we can also add here to get the names, but we can still make a search from here to get names as well. So now you know I have all QuickGrid over here. Now you can see we have the list sorted. So you can see we've done it to one column, but we can search through the entire column here because of the condition that we stated here. Now you can see we are making a search out of this, but let's assume here is supposed to be only first you want to search with first name, last name, and location. Then you can specify them over here. So you can see it is fetching through the, as well here for first name, or from last name, as you can see, from location too. Okay, so we can make it work over here, or we can also use an ID, and we can also do that. All right, so the next thing that I want to talk about is maybe we can decide to use a slider to get the minimum and the maximum values from the ID field. Maybe here, let's try to also work on this as well. So to do that, maybe we have to add, so let's go to the ID. So that is the ID. Now in here, let's try to add maybe a page. Okay, but before that, let's have a column options, because that can only give us access to it. So column options, and we open it up, and now we can pass in, that's a paragraph. Now this paragraph, maybe minimum, we can specify minimum here, and now you can have an input. So this input, you can say type that you want here, it is range. So you want type as range, and you want to have bind value here, and maybe you can actually talk about or create, let's say, min ID. Okay, so you have min ID, and now you can have at bind event, and you know we are going for on input, and maybe this is minimum. So min ID, let's say you want the min ID to be 20. Okay, or you can say 30, that's the min ID. You can specify it any way that you want. And now in here, since we can also use span to display to the user. So let's go for at min ID. So this min ID, let's grab this, let's come here, and now we can say int min ID. Okay, so minimum ID is equal to 1, and we're gonna have int max ID is equal to 30. Okay, so let's set minimum to 1, now max to 30. So maybe we can use any, let's say it could be an amount, it could be anything at all, but since we have only the one ID column or one now column which is integer, that is what we are assigning to. So that necessarily means that you have to set it by all force to the ID. You can assign it to any column which has a number. Okay, so that's for my minimum. Now let's grab this also and let's have it done for maximum. So here, instead of min, it's going to be max ID. Now max ID is 30. Okay, so although we have specified this min and max over here, and we also specify the min and the max as to here as well. Now let's say max ID. Now to just work with this, it's very simple. We have to use the, now you see we are having a squareable, so dot, and we can use where clause to get it. Okay, so this where clause, you can just have customer which max to c dot customer dot ID is greater than or equal to, that is a min ID. Okay, and the same c.id is less than or equal to max. Very simple. So this is all what we need to do. Now, so we are making a set. Now I can say, so from this ID, it must be greater than or equal to min ID, that is 1. So here we are specifying as 1. Okay, or maybe we can set this to 5. So start from the ID of 5, and the maximum here, it is getting up to 30. So max. Let's save this. Now let's run this up, and now let's see if this ID, yeah, so you can see we have this range over there. So that is a beautiful work of how to reload. Before we try to navigate to the page, it gets loaded already. So we have location. We can search through the entire data here. From first name, last name, location, you can set everything. So example, though I get it. Now, also when I come to the ID, I can now have this. Maximum is what, 30, and now minimum is 1 over here. So I can now increase this. And as soon as I get increasing, you can say I get the number of data here. As you can see, from 40, I have no. Now the min is 30 over here. So 85. A 0. Now we can still move on with that. So that's the min, and I just supposed to be max. So let's figure this one out well. So here it is max. Now maximum number here is 30. Okay, so we have the maximum number over here as 30, and as you can see from, we have min 5, and now this. We can also have this maximum or max as 30. Now min 2 here is equal to 5. So we set min to 5, max to 30, and that is the range slider that we are creating. And as you can see from here, we have the two values being used in the query here. So now let's do it again. Okay, so let's see if it is refreshing. Okay, so 30, 30, min is 30, and as you can see from here, so you can see minimum here it is 5, right? So that's the minimum over here, it is 5, maximum is 30, and here too we have min as well, 5, and I can see we have over 2 as 30. Now you can see we get all data over here with the ID from 12 up to 30. Now 30, now you can see from 30 to 30, we have only 1. Now from this 23 up to 24, we have only 3 over here, and that's what you see over there. All right, so you can see that we are able to apply filter to our data grid, or that's a QuickGrid, and yeah, it's interesting to use. So I hope you guys are enjoying it, and you can now go ahead and use it. You can have a lot of information about this when you go to the documentation. So I'm going to leave the link in the description so you can read more. These are just the basics that you need to know. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like what I'm doing, give me a thumbs up. Also, subscribe to the channel. As I do new video, you get it instantly and you can watch. And now know a lot of things in this .NET programming environment. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as well as I do. Thank you so much. And don't forget to subscribe, please. And I'm going to catch you up in the next video. And sorry, I'm going to leave the source code too under the GitHub. So check the link over there, that's the description. You're going to see a link over there from the GitHub. You can just click to get the whole content over here. The whole project I have created here, you can just get it with just a click. Isn't that beautiful? Yes, it is.